The Dark Night of the Soul. This is about losing what you think you are. That dreaded word, Dark Night of the Soul. If you're in it, remember this, just simply, straight away, this too shall pass. It always used to really annoy me when my teacher used to say that, because I was like, yeah, but you're not in it. You're not experiencing it. But of course he just had the experience to say, don't worry, it's going to end. Anyway, before we talk about losing who we think we are, that sounds daunting, doesn't it? It's not. But before we talk about that, I just want to bring your attention down below to the free offerings that we have. There's a free breathing practice. There's a free introduction to Hatha Yoga. There's a free community for people that are going through an awakening experience and they don't have anybody to talk to. And the thing I'm wanting to bring most people's attention to, mainly, is the Freedom Blueprint. This is for that person who's ready to take the next step on the journey. Perhaps they're stuck in the dark night of the soul and they don't see a way out, and they want the tools, tried and tested methods to be able to get themselves out of it. Well, then this is the course for you. It's going to give you the structure behind your awakening and the practices to bring about the highest aliveness of energy in the body to shift the trajectory of your life so that you can essentially become the best version of yourself possible. Now, let's jump back to the video. Dark Night of the Soul, huh? So what is it? Well, for people that don't know, it's, what can we say? Well, it's an identity crisis, in a way, isn't it? It's a case of mistaken identity, and what on earth do I mean? Well, for me to describe this, I first have to describe what ego is. Ego is the identification with anything temporary. So if I say that my mind or the thoughts in my head are me, well, they're temporary, aren't they? They come and go. And therefore, by identifying with those as myself, putting myself in them, my identity in them, this is ego. Same for emotions and things like this. So, what is the Dark Night of the Soul here to do? Well, it's here to wake you up to your soul's nature. Now, how does it do that? It does that by crumbling the old. And this is why I really like Bitcoin at the moment. It's a proper good topic to talk about. I'm slowly putting some money into Bitcoin. High risk, I know. And people in the comments will come and shout at me for doing it, but it's a bit of fun. And why is Bitcoin so exciting? Well, because it seems to be that it's the future. And why am I saying this? Well, because what has to crumble? Well, we can see our financial systems are crumbling, and at least if they aren't, they need to. And so Bitcoin offers a new solution. But in order for that new perfect solution to come about, which is much better for everybody, much fairer, the old way needs to crumble. And so now let's link this back to the Dark Night of the Soul. What is it that is the old financial system in this analogy? Well, it's the identification with that mental me. And so this is why we've titled this video, The End of Who You Think You Are, or something like this. By the time this comes out, I might have changed it. Who you think you are, the me in the mind, is not our true essence. To identify with the me in the mind is to be in ego. This is egoic. So then, naturally, the next question is, well, where do we go then? What do we do? Are we here to die? Does the Dark Night of the Soul kill us off? And the answer is yes and no. Because the Dark Night of the Soul is here to bring pain in moments where you are perhaps believing things to be true inside of yourself that are not true or not natural to yourself. And that's why it hurts at points to identify with the ego. Why is the ego? The ego is quite negative, isn't it? A lot of the time we are holding on to beliefs through no fault of our own. In our innocence, they're passed down from generation to generation, and we've agreed to come in and play this theme. So there's no blame. It's a bit insincere to start blaming parents, although we can recognise objectively, this is why I'm like this. These were the teachings that were passed down to me. I've learned this conditioning and therefore I'm acting from my condition, but this is unconscious living, isn't it? This is 3D living, not recognizing that we have the opportunity and we have the power to change and transform the way that we relate to the world from unconscious to conscious. And the dark night of the soul is really the bridge from unconscious 3D living to more conscious 3.5/4D living. But that takes a transition, and as a baby grows and he starts teething, causes a little bit of pain, doesn't it? But it's necessary for his proper teeth to come through, and so the baby must teeth and go through the pain of that a little bit. In the same way, the dark night of the soul is a spiritual rite of passage, and it is an upgrade. Please do not think you've done anything wrong, or that you're being punished by life. Life is not punishing you at all. It's trying to give you the gift of understanding yourself in the proper way, the true understanding, the gift of truth inside of ourselves. So what is truth? Well, truth is, how to say, maybe we could use the word consciousness. We are all consciousness. What does that mean? Well, it means at the basis, at our essence, we are consciousness, meaning I am consciousness in this body, there is consciousness in this body, and there's also consciousness in the macrocosm, the universe. Everything is imbibed with a certain level of consciousness. We are all that, all is one in that sense. Now, why are we talking about this? Why are we telling you this? Well, because in a way, the dark night of the soul is here to take you away from separation, from disconnection from everything, which is what the mind does, isn't it? If we identify with a separate identity in the mind, well, I can't be that separate identity, can I? Because I'm the one that observes the me in the mind. Is there two me's? Do I have a multiple personality disorder? Should I call the doctor? And of course, I'm making light of something probably quite serious, but in a way, we have two senses of self inside of us, don't we? So what's the intention of the dark night of the soul? Well, it's here to reintegrate that me in the mind, the things that we think we are. I'm the funny guy. I'm the loser. I'm great at sex. I suck at sex. Oh, why is my life like this? Blah, 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 blah. This is all identity, 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 identity. It's usually the roles that we play in life is what we identify with in the mind, isn't it? And we sometimes identify with past trauma. In a way, if we get rejected a lot or something like this, or at least it's perceived that way by this one, that there's a lot of rejection happening in their life, then an identity structure can form out of that. Well, why do I keep getting rejected? What's wrong with me? Am I not good enough? This is the thing that we keep thinking we are. I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable. And the dark night of the soul is the crumbling of this. It's the end of who you think you are. Because in fact, you are not in thought. I am the funny guy, the thought might say. Well, it's just a thought. I am the perceiver of thinking, isn't it? And what the dark night of the soul is doing is it's bringing us back to that awareness as an experience through pain. And this is the deepest and greatest gift one could ever know. It's not the end of the journey, but it's certainly laying the foundations for something brand new, in the same way that Bitcoin is nowadays. Old ways are crumbling, thank God. New ways are coming, and they're very profitable, at least in Bitcoin's case. Alright, I hope this video helps. Here's to the end of who you think you are. Have a great day. Namaste.